Chemistry 30, Acids and Bases, Lesson 5. We're looking at neutralizing, the pH of mixtures, and titration curves. This goes along with the AB4 assignment. What is a titration? The following slides will explain how a titration is completed. A specific amount of solution is measured out by pipette into an Erlenmeyer flask. An indicator is then also added to the Erlenmeyer flask. Indicators. Indicators are substances that change color under specific conditions. In acid and base titrations, the indicator is selected due to its ability to change color at a specific pH. This chart comes from sciencenotes.org, and it shows you a list of different indicators, and it identifies what colors are produced depending on the pH of the solution the indicator has been placed into. In an acid-base titration, the endpoint is reached when the solution is neutralized. That means that the amount of acid added equals the amount of base added, and the pH is now 7. Here are a number of indicators that change their color around a pH of 7. In a future lab, we are going to conduct a titration using the indicator phenolphthalein. This indicator is clear in acidic conditions and pink in basic conditions. The color change occurs at a pH of 8.2, which is near the point when the amount of acid equals the amount of base. After the indicator has been added, a burette is filled with a solution that will react with the solution that was placed in the Erlenmeyer flask. Solution from the burette is then slowly added to the Erlenmeyer flask until the indicator signals the endpoint has been reached. We can now find the unknown concentration of a solution if we know the concentration of the other solution and the volume of both solutions that were added. So here's our sample titration. We have an acid inside of an Erlenmeyer flask, and we are going to be adding a base to that acid. So the base is inside the burette. This is the opposite of what we try to do in a laboratory, because typically, if possible, we want to add acids to bases. That's just because if anything's going to spill, it is going to be coming out of the Erlenmeyer flask, and we want to make sure then that we have a base inside of the Erlenmeyer flask instead of an acid. If that can't be avoided, then we wind up with a situation like this, where we're adding a base to an acid. So the base gets added to the acid until we see a change in color. And the second we see a change in color, we stop adding the base. Now that's the end of our titration. As soon as we saw that change in color, we are at the point where the amount of acid equals the amount of base. Titration curves. We are going to look at some titration curves. You have to be able to recognize the shape of titration curves. If given a curve, you have to be able to explain what is happening in that titration by looking at the data collected. For example, if I give you a curve, you can say by looking at the graph, this is a weak acid being titrated by a strong base. There will be questions about titration curves on the unit exam and on the final, so make a note of that in your handout. Let's start by looking at a strong base titrating a strong acid. The solution is very acidic until we reach the point of neutralization, at which point the solution would quickly become strongly basic. So we have a burette full of a strong base, and we have an Erlenmeyer flask with a strong acid. And let's say inside that Erlenmeyer flask, I have a device that measures pH. And as the base is added, it is going to record the pH onto our graph. Now, since it starts in a very strong acid, our graph is going to start off being very acidic. When we reach the neutralization point, it quickly shot up to becoming very basic. Now let's consider the opposite. I have a strong acid titrating a strong base. So the solution is very basic until we reach the point of neutralization, at which point the solution would quickly become very strongly acidic. Now let's add a strong base to a weak acid. Starting with a weak acid, the solution is never strongly acidic. As base is added, it slowly wanes towards the neutralization point, at which point the solution would quickly become strongly basic. The last scenario we will look at is a strong acid titrating a weak base. Starting with a weak base, the solution is never strongly basic. As acid is added, it wanes towards the neutralization point, at which time the solution would quickly become strongly acidic. To determine the concentration of an unknown acid or base, the chemist will often conduct a titration. This follows one of two forms. 1. An acid of unknown concentration is added to a base of known concentration until the solution is neutral. 2. An acid of known concentration is added to a base of unknown concentration until the solution is neutral. The titration is complete once the moles of H plus added equal the number of moles of OH minus added. Now I want you to add these notes to your handout. The moles of H plus equal moles of OH minus. That's what happens when we neutralize a solution. The amount of acid added equals the amount of base that has been added. Now, let's take a little side trip for a sec. Remember that molarity equals moles over liters. If I want to get moles by itself, I multiply both sides by liters. So liters can factor out, and the number of moles will equal molarity times liters. So the moles of acid will equal concentration of the acid times liters of the acid. But what is that Na at the front? That's something I added in. I added that in because I want to keep track of how many H pluses the chemical formula makes. So the Na is the number of protons made by the acid's formula. In the case of HCl, Na would just equal 1 because an HCl makes just one H+. If it was something like H2SO4, Na would then equal 2 because each H2SO4 released into the water will produce 2 H+. Make sure you write this down in your notes. Now, moles of base is going to depend on NB/MB/LB. Concentration of the base multiplied by liters of the base multiplied by how many hydroxide ions the base's formula makes. So NB represents the number of hydroxide ions made by the base's formula. If it was NaOH, well, sodium hydroxide makes just one OH minus, so NB would equal just 1. But if it was strontium hydroxide makes two OH minuses, so the NB value would then be 2. And if we had a different strong base, something like BaO, barium oxide, that would produce as well 2 hydroxides, so the NB value would then be 2. Again, please copy this down into your notes. Example, what volume of 0.090 molar nitric acid is needed to neutralize 135 milliliters of 0.550 molar magnesium hydroxide? So our variables are Na, MaLa, Nb, Mb, Lb. Na is 1 because HNO3 makes 1 H+. The concentration of the acid is 0.090 molar, and the liters that are needed to neutralize the base, that's what we're looking for. Nb equals 2 because magnesium hydroxide makes 2 hydroxide ions. The concentration of the base is 0.550 molar, and we are told that we are using 135 milliliters of that base, which will have to be put into liters, so that is 0.135 liters. The formula is NaMaLa equals NbMbLb. Since I'm looking for La, I will divide both sides by NaMa. so that on the left-hand side, the NAs will factor out and the MAs will factor out. So LA equals NB-MB-LB over NA-MA. I'll sub in my numbers, make sure I double bracket the denominator, and my calculator spits out 1.65. Now I was given 2 significant figures, 3 significant figures, and 3 significant figures in the question. It's all multiplication and division, so my answer is only allowed to have 2 significant figures. So I would need 1.7 liters of the acid to fully neutralize that base. Well, that's one type of question. The other type of question looks like this. When a strong acid solution and a strong base solution have been combined, we calculate the pH by 1. Calculating the number of moles of H plus and OH minus present, then determine which is in excess and by what amount, then divide the excess H plus or OH minus by the solution's total volume, and then you calculate the pH. To the example, what is the pH of a solution made by combining 1.90 liters of 5.78 molar hydrochloric acid with 3.80 liters of 6.40 molar barium hydroxide? So we start by calculating the number of moles of H plus and OH minus present. Moles of acid equal NaMaLa. Moles of base will equal NbMbLb. Na for HCl is equal to 1 because HCl makes 1H plus. We multiply that by the concentration of the acid and liters of the acid, and we see that we have 10.982 moles of H plus. For the base, the Nb is equal to 2 because barium hydroxide makes 2 hydroxide ions. We multiply that by the base's concentration and volume, and we see that we have 48.64 moles of hydroxide. Step 2 is to determine which is in excess and by what amount. Well, we have more hydroxide than we have H plus. So how much hydroxide do we have in excess? Well, we know 10.982 moles of H plus are going to react with 10.982 moles of OH minus, forming water. So the hydroxide in excess will be 48.64 subtract 10.982. So we wind up with 37.658 moles of hydroxide in excess. In step 3, we divide the excess H plus or OH minus by the solution's total volume. And what is the total volume? Well, 1.90 liters of hydrochloric acid mixed with 3.80 liters of barium hydroxide gives us a total volume of 5.70 liters. Now I can calculate the concentration of the hydroxide because it's equal to moles divided by liters. In excess, we said we had 37.658 moles of hydroxide, and the total liters is now 5.70 liters. So the hydroxide concentration equals 6.606 repeating molar. Now that I know the hydroxide concentration, I can calculate the pOH and eventually then complete step 4, which is calculating pH. So the pOH equals the negative log of the OH minus concentration. I sub in the OH minus concentration, and my calculator tells me that the pOH is equal to negative 0.81998. We know that pH plus pOH equals 14, so pH will equal 14, subtract that pOH value. So 14 subtract negative 0.81998 gives me 14.81998. Correcting the 3 significant figures, I wind up with 14.820. And that's the end of the lesson. You're good to work on the AB4 assignment.